Warren, I've read a lot of studies, and it seems that shopper is now more informed when he walks into the dealership on, everything about the vehicle that he's interested in. Mm-hmm. How has that changed, say, the dynamics to the sale? How has the approach to the dealership changed because of this?
Well, it definitely has, Vic. There's no question about that the dynamic has changed. And, we like to call that person who's done all of that online research, we like to call them the highly researched shopper. And, back in the day, it used to be that you only had, teachers and engineers that we would call that highly researched shopper. They were the people that showed up, on the lot, and they'd have a clipboard under one arm, and they'd have a buyer's guides under the other arm, and the salespeople would
I got all those guys.
Oh no, here comes that person, right? And we always, some salespeople used to be afraid of that highly informed shopper. Well, the whole game has changed now. Like, everybody's a highly informed shopper, right? It's so easy to get information. Anybody can do it now. And it doesn't require the work that it used to. So, and the studies are, that you talk about, I'm sure you're reading the same ones as me. It's like, 11 to 12 hours of online research before they even contact us in the first place. So yeah, absolutely, that changes the dynamic, and it changes their expectation of what the sales process is going to be like when they eventually meet us.
Yeah. For sure, with that dynamic, the dealers are seeing two things show up for those that are smart enough to track their numbers. They're seeing a declining traffic, but an increased closing ratio. And the reason is that the person that not really sure about your product probably isn't coming to see you. They can rule out the choices of all the product that they're not interested in. They can do that online. They don't have to make the trip to 6 dealerships that go maybe, maybe not. They're not coming. They're identifying the products that they want to go down and really narrow in their vision on and find out which product is right for them in that narrow selection. So the quality of your walk-in traffic driven off the internet research is going up, but dealers are also finding their traffic is declining. So they're not selling more cars necessarily. So they've got to adapt now and be better at driving that traffic to their internet site or their websites, converting those to leads, and then engaging them in the sales process.
So that highly educated buyer, has that interview process then changed when he comes into the dealership?
Oh, their expectation around the sales process has definitely changed, and I would say probably out of everything that we do interacting with and helping someone buy a car now, out of all of the steps of that, the interview has changed the most, I would say, and the sales consultant that doesn't recognize and respect the research that shopper has done and the knowledge that they've acquired, if you don't respect that and you try and force that person into the old style far-reaching interview process, right, they're just not up for it. It's a waste of their time, right? So with the traditional buyer, who hasn't done all that research, we needed to do a very comprehensive interview around their needs, around their family, around their occupation. We needed to find out a whole bunch of the use of the vehicle. We needed to find out, well, what's different, what's changed, what's no longer good about the vehicle that you have now. And all of that was designed so that we could help them to select the right vehicle, right? Because they didn't know. They didn't know what you had in your range, and they didn't know which vehicle was going to meet their needs. And that's the professional service they needed in order to be able to feel confident to say yes to a vehicle. Now everything's changed. They spend 11, 12 hours online figuring out what their needs are now. They know what their needs are, which vehicles match those needs, because the websites are really good now. You can get a really good idea of all the features and equipment. You can get a really good idea of which vehicles are a good match for you. So, that interview process has really changed.
So the whole system is reversed. We're starting with the selected vehicle and matching it to their needs, making sure it's the right vehicle. But is that really necessary? Because won't they just buy the vehicle they selected?
Oh, they might, but you would certainly want to just leave that to chance. One of the biggest differences is what your job is now is to really validate their selection rather than start from scratch and try and rebuild all of this thought and the whole process that they've gone through. So it's really about accepting the information that they have, and as we validate certain choices and certain things that they've done to get to the selection they've made, that actually helps to build mental ownership in the sales process. So it's validation, not looking for the information from scratch. So that's the biggest difference. So that can be accelerated, but it's still essential to a high closing ratio.
Warren, wouldn't you find that these highly researched buyers, they know what they want? Wouldn't they be resistant to, say, the professional help that the automotive consultant can give them?
Well, they would be if it feels like and sounds like the same old thing, right? And it can't, because they're expecting things to go more quickly and more easily because they've done all this work, right? So they're coming to you with all this work done. They've selected a vehicle. So if it feels to them like you're trying to force them into this big, long process, then there's going to be resistance there. So it's really important how we set that up, and it's really important what we say. People will follow us if we provide good leadership. So it's really important that the sales consultant acknowledge right away that they'll say something when they find out that somebody has looked at a lot of vehicles online and they've come in to look at a specific vehicle that you have. Congratulate them right away on that. Say, oh, that's great, Vic. I mean, all that work that you've done online, that'll sure speed things up for us, make this really quick and easy, right? What I'll do is I'll just ask a few quick questions, make sure that the one that you selected is the very best one that we have in stock, and it meets your needs perfectly, and then we'll get things going for you, right? So come along with me. So when you take that kind of approach, it tells them a few things right away. Number one, it tells them it's not that you respect and you're happy that they've done research, right? So it validates the work that they've already done. It lets them know that we're going to speed things up, and that's what their expectation is, right? That this will be quicker, right? So you're letting them know that it's going to speed things up, and you also say that I'm going to ask you a few quick questions to make sure that the one that you selected is the very best match to your needs. It's the very best one that we have in stock, right? That when you say something like that, then that tells them, oh, well, it clears the decks.
It's very reassuring.
Reassures them that you're going to be helpful, but you're also going to make sure that the selection that they've made is the very best one for them, right?
One other thing that is an interesting factor that affects that is the actual website technology can have a difference in how your interview will progress, because some sites are very, very good at leading you through an entire selection and purchasing a self-qualifying process where I know exactly all the features, I've got all of my questions answered, I know exactly what my payments are going to be, I've done a third-party evaluation of my trade value, and I'm going mentally, this is exactly what I want. Some sites are far more shallow, and they don't answer all those questions. So that person that's coming in has less information than the person that was visited a very robust site. And so the salesperson has to adapt for who that person is and how much information they have and fill in the gaps.
One of the studies that we did with our AutoNet Dealer Solutions websites is found you're exactly right with that. And we know now with the circle of selling that you guys preach all the time, where the internet starts and where the internet leaves off, right down to having the credit app filled out. So there's even less time for that customer to actually spend at the dealership, which actually makes the customer more at ease. So with all this new stuff that's happening, this highly trained, researched buyer, is there anywhere that the salespeople can go to learn how to deal with this new buyer?
Oh, absolutely, Vic. I mean, we've come up with a very comprehensive program in partnership with AutoNet Dealer Solutions, and the way we structure it is 2 days in the dealership, training not only on the marketing aspects of internet sales, but also on the person-to-person sales professionalism aspects, the process items, and we follow that 2 days on with a year's worth of in dealership coaching, and that coaching carries the production of that internet department to new heights every time.
Dan, have you seen it move the needle with these dealerships?
Absolutely, and one of the things that we are doing with these programs, which is essential for most dealers, every dealership is staffed different size, different number of resources dedicated for different tasks within the dealership. So a lot of guys need some help in sorting out what's the best configuration, what's the best way to balance the loads so that we get a high quality response to these leads to generate the higher number of kept appointments of which we can engage in a sales process and sell a car.